bigger than ever. It's the unofficial 40 from Soonerscoop.com. Presented by the Choctaw Casino and Resort in Durant. Now, here's the entire Sooner Scoop crew. Carey, Josh, Eddie, and Bob.
All right, we're back. And with as much testosterone as ever, as the new Open brings us in, it is the new unofficial 40 brought to you by the Choctaw Casino and Resorts in Durant. That's right, we have a sponsor. I feel like the owner of the race team in Days of Thunder shouting, "We have a sponsor!"
Feels good.
After Cole Trickle won his first race.
Cole Trickle, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
You probably are not a Days of Thunder guy, are you?
No, but
I think Days of Thunder, hot take alert, I like Days of Thunder better than Top Gun.
Whoa.
I'm with you.
I was
you
muted
really?
and I'm screaming. You know I'm not happy.
I just think I've watched them both so much because they're on. I think Days of Thunder has a lot more depth to it as a movie. Like Top Gun is just, we get in a plane, somebody dies, we have to get over it, and then we get back in a plane. I mean, the essence of Top Gun is kind of stupid.
That's war.
It's just guys getting shook and then getting over it.
Yeah, but it was...
Well, what is Days of Thunder? He gets in a crash. Nobody even has
It's the same thing, but Rowdy Gaines won't go to the hospital. I mean, it's not like Mother Goose, refused to get medical treatment. I mean, that's a much more complicated story.
Goose dies. He has to deal with his best friend. Rowdy is just too much.
Buddy
of a pansy
Brotherton's
for the hospital.
dad died, and he was talking all the way into the wall. You got Robert Duvall. You don't have any supporting actor as good as Robert Duvall in Top Gun.
That's the point I cannot
Tom
argue.
Skerritt is no Robert Duvall. I'm sorry.
You're right. And the other thing I will give you in Days of Thunder, leading lady Nicole Kidman,
much better than the lesbian Kelly McGillis.
Yeah, it's not even a contest. That's fair.
Because,
that's fair.
And she's
the lesbian gives you more like thoughts,
but she's old and she's not attractive.
Probably still would.
She's excited about it. Like they were like,
she might not want to.
That was like Jerry Bruckheimer's way of saying, let's give something back to the ladies because this is such a sexist movie. Let's have an unattractive woman as the female lead.
You think she would use any of the sex toys that were delivered to the Ohio State football offices?
She
was experienced in the sack.
Josh, you talked to your boy today?
No, Zach and I have not corresponded. We're we're cooling off a little bit. We had a moment yesterday.
Unbelievable that you got in the middle of the Zach Smith meltdown yesterday.
You made it in Sports Illustrated, man. Congratulations.
It's a big moment. Yeah. It was one of those things where like I sent it to Tiffany this morning and I was like, I'm famous, I guess. I don't know how to feel about this. I'm scum in Sports Illustrated, so I have that going for me.
By the way,
cool.
Just how big of a moron are you if you're an Ohio State fan still supporting this guy? And you had Ohio State fans coming after you.
I felt like there were bad OU fans with the whole Mixon deal, obviously, but
then
I don't feel like it was this bad.
No,
is it not? Is that like just a completely homer
it's
thing
all
to say?
bad. It's all bad when you're willing to die with the whole she spit on him and yelled a racial.
I can't get enough of the people that think this is just some kind of media narrative, though. Like this has all been made up.
Well, my problem is I can't understand it. With Mixon, he was still a member of the football program. You know what? There's crazy fans. They're going to justify that kind of thing because he's on the team. I don't like it, but I get it. Like you know what I mean? Like I can understand how a fanatic gets there.
Yeah.
I don't understand the defense of Zach Smith. They're at the same time
he embarrassed
defending
your
Zach
program.
Smith and defending Urban Meyer, who fired Zach Smith.
That's the whole thing. He is responsible for all of this, and they continue to think this is some kind of. Well, I guess it just shows you the reach that Urban Meyer has because everybody feels like it's a narrative to bring down Urban Meyer.
Look, it's not fair, but by proxy, Tom Herman's seat got hotter over this thing.
Yeah,
that's how messed up this whole situation is.
Tom Herman.
And nobody's feeling sorry for Tom Herman. I mean,
does Eddie respect Tom Herman more now that the strip club story's out there?
Oh, yeah.
Very good question.
Well, maybe a little bit, but I will say I would have paid money to be in that household when it finally came down. And maybe she knew, But when
His wife
found out that he was the one at the strip club.
How scuzzy of Ohio State
I bet
to
she
clearly deflect the story.
She probably locked up the strap-on door. No more for you, Tom.
I figured, Eddie, you were disappointed in the bill from the strip club. That wasn't all
Just
that much.
$600. They got out of there cheap.
No VIP in that.
I could see Tom Herman though frequenting places with women named Star with 2 R's.
Tiffany with a lot of eyes.
Yeah, Tiphany.
See, now, Eddie, I want you to stack up. Tiffany has always maintained that she has one of the primary stripper names. When I think of stripper names, I think of like they're always things like Lexus,
Yeah,
or, like stuff like that.
I don't know if I definitely don't think Tiffany's one. I would say that it. Yeah, you're right. It's more of like Lexus, Desiree.
Yeah, Destiny
with 2 eyes.
Like it's always got to be an idea or a thing. Like
Fantasia.
Their name has to be a noun.
Fantasia. Not to the main stage. Fantasia. I always thought if this thing didn't work out, I'd just go to Sugar's and be one of the DJs up there in the booths. Maybe get lucky.
I think you could do a hell of a job, Eddie.
Maybe get lucky with one of the underage ones. What? I'm just kidding.
Oh man!
Glad to be sponsored.
Eddie, I feel like
so
you keep
far
it
away
classy.
from
You just date the wait staff.
I don't talk to the dancers. I only date the wait staff.
As this podcast is now going on, I'm like the guy in The Hunt for Red October. You know when
I don't think I've seen it.
oh my god,
Jesus. Okay.
like the guy when Sean Connery tells him to speed up when they're going through the laryngeal abyss or whatever it is they're going, and he's having to calculate it on a slide rule. Like I'm having to calculate how many more minutes are added before I can read the first sponsorship because of Eddie's horrible behavior so far.
I haven't even said the F word, and I feel pretty confident about that we can get it through a whole one. Oh no!
I don't know.
Maybe the bagman will have to drop off another bag or something.
I've been pretty triggered about this pay-per-view thing today.
Yes, you
I
have.
saw that. I think it's kind of funny just how bent out of shape people get about stuff like that.
I liked how you explained what a poor is.
Yeah, I mean, you can be poor, but that doesn't mean you have to be
good
a
definition.
poor.
Very good definition.
And people, look, I drew great pleasure in the fact that one of the biggest dickheads that I've seen on the internet going after Joe C. and Kenny Mossman is someone I blocked, that Mikey OUDNA or whatever. He's a poor.
He's a very unhappy person.
He is not. He is. I mean, he's a miserable person. And there are a lot of miserable people on Twitter. You don't need to bitch to Joe Castiglione about having to pay to watch a football game. $50.
What's the end game if you do? It's like, all right.
Okay, you can have it for free.
You know what? I got 13 tweets this morning. I'm gonna go ahead and rethink this whole thing.
Joe C. ain't Delta Airlines. You ain't gonna Twitter shame him into giving you something for free.
It's true.
And by the way, you knew this was coming. Like
They
we
have
had that
won it every
discussion
year.
so many times. Like, wow, what's going to be the pay-per-view game this year? Like, and I said
Kansas.
I asked Joe C. at one point. I said, could you make Kansas a pay-per? Because Kansas always sells their game to the Longhorn Network. Iowa State does it too. So I mean, OU probably could have. They probably could have paid a chunk of money to Kansas, and they would have let them put it on pay-per-view. And then what they would have done is in the state of Kansas, they would have shown it on regular cable. They wouldn't have to pay for it. That's how it works. But they chose Army. And this BS about, I'm trying to censor myself now because I used a bad word already. But this BS about, oh, it's the service academy. How dare you? Like, please stop that crap.
That's such a crutch to just help your argument. Like
that's
it
almost
makes
as
you
bad
think-
as Zach Smith using his kids as a crutch.
I was going to say, that's Zach Smithian is what that is. That's a Smith move.
But stop being a poor, okay? Stop bitching. You can find a way to watch the damn game. You can listen to it on radio, but you can go to a bar, and every bar in the state of Oklahoma is probably going to have this game on.
Well, and I like the guy that mentioned to you that this basically, if you're bitching about it, it means that you are so poor that you don't have friends. Because you could get 3 families together, everybody throw down, or 5 families together, everybody throw down $5 or $10, and there you go.
Well, and it's not just Oklahoma, Carey. Like there's a reason you're an OU fan. It's a huge national program. In Denver, they have a fan bar where you can go and watch this damn game. Like, it's not – it's anywhere. Like, any major city, you can go watch the team if you want to watch. And if you live out in the country, sorry, I guess get together with the other locals and, like Eddie just said, a pool of $5 for 10 families and you've got it made.
You can go donate plasma twice next week and then be able to pay for it.
If you really want to watch. I mean, this whole loyal fan crap. No, I don't know a single loyal OU fan that's truly a loyal fan that's going to miss out on watching a game over $50.
I mean,
Good God, if you go to a game, you're taking your family, you're buying a bottle of water costs, what, $6 at a game?
Yeah, I mean, one ticket costs more than... One ticket to the game
You
would
can
cost
get a
more
ticket
than
for
it would
$20, but if
be
you
on
take
TV.
3 people, it's going to be more than the pay-per-view.
You're parking for
Oh my God, $20
$20
if you want to park anywhere close to the stadium.
I mean,
It's just people. It's this whole Twitter bullshit thing. Where
I've been saying it all
people
week.
think
People
that-
needed something to complain about the first week. A couple years ago, it was tailgating. This year, it's the pay-per-view game.
which they're trying, where they're hoping is going to come back. And that was one discussion I had with Joe C. at the Blake Griffin dedication. He said that there was a chance that the university allows tailgating. They're trying to figure it out. It might not happen in the first game, but I won't be surprised if it's back by the end of the season. But it's just the Twitter bitching. It's just out of control. It's a warped sense of reality. It warps your sense of reality as to what real life is
I wonder
like.
how quickly the people that are complaining about the pay-per-view stuff will flip that switch and turn their anger to Mike Stoops on Saturday.
Oh,
I would say
yeah,
by noon, like 11:45.
We'll go to the Crimson Quarter and just type Mike Stoops, and you can get it switched. Well, nobody on the Crimson Corner's bitching about it because they're not a bunch of pores.
True.
They understand the value of if you love something, you have to pay for it. If it's something's good, you got to pay to get it.
And it'll keep Sooner sports floating for the rest of the year.
That's the other thing I don't understand. Like, when did people get this sense of self-entitlement like everything should be free? Like, and there's so many people on Twitter that bitch about that. I ain't paying for information.
Ooh.
Oh, Carey. Carey's the first one.
That I don't know what the Vegas line was, but Carey being the first F-bomb would have been a long shot for
I didn't
sure.
even get a really good...
Got blood everywhere.
I censored myself before I got to the K.
Yeah, you didn't even really go in on
I'm
it.
still going to bleep it.
Have to.
So, yeah, it's just a bunch of pores. Just shut up. There. I feel like I've gotten it out of my system now. All right. You guys want to get to some of what we talked to coaches about this week?
Sure.
Well, this is in our news segment. Sponsored? No, it's not. We talked to, obviously, Kyler Murray getting his first start. I mean, that's the biggest news out of the week. It's the only really depth chart news you got besides Carson Meier, which, Bob, I'm sorry, you didn't get to do your Carson Meier story again this week.
I did not get to write a second one. For those you don't know, Carson Meier,
Meier whisperer.
has class on Monday and Tuesday nights. So I'm not sure when we'll ever get a chance to talk to your starting H-back.
Does something in the game. We can talk to him on Saturday.
How many? What's the over under on Carson Meier snaps Saturday?
Oh, I think he's going to play quite a bit.
Do you?
I mean,
I'm more leaning toward Trey and Rodney being in quite a bit.
As a dual back?
Yep.
What if you set it at 30? What would you take?
Oh, I'd
Under.
take the under.
Under.
For sure.
Okay.
I mean, they're going to get,
I think it'd be close.
against this team, 70 to 80 snaps, I'd say.
Yeah. Atlantic, because they're going to try to do the same thing. It's just going to be two offenses trying to move fast.
So, I mean, I don't think he'll play half the snaps.
So you think there's a better chance of Lane Kiffin getting a
By the way,
leg
Josh,
pregnant?
we know you have a tumbler. We can hear it.
Damn it. I'm actually not drinking alcohol. It is just a Yeti full of water. I
can almost tell. I mean, I knew it was a tumbler, too, just by the
Yep.
noise that the ice was making.
Yep. No, that's a shame. I really tried to do that on the sly, and it did not work out. Sorry, people. Had a drink of water.
But no, Carson Meier was really the only other depth chart. In fact, I'd say the clip of the week was James Hale. Yes, I've said his name. asking Bill Bedenbaugh, trying to trick him into naming a starter at one position. Here it is. Well, damn it. As always, I muted it. I joshed it.
It's karma for mentioning.
Here's Bill Bedenbaugh.
Are you going to go with Bobby at left tackle?
I don't know.
All these new pieces. All these new
You'll find out Saturday.
Big overlap.
See, that was for me. Yeah, he was
one.
the overlapper. It was funny, though, because he just stood there and,
like a
it's that
sly look.
awkward someone else tries to start asking a question. Like, what were they in the back of the room trying to ask a question?
Yeah, Keegan.
I think he was talking to somebody else.
So he just stood there, and then he finally smiled, like, "Yeah, you're not getting shit out of me."
And it was funny. He gives you that look
Yeah,
because he's a menacing dude when he wants to be.
but that's the weird thing about Bedenbaugh is like he is usually the most open and honest person that we talk to. Like if someone's not playing well, he'll tell. Like it's just like with Bray Walker when you asked him about his freshman, he was like, "Oh, they're not going to help us this year." Like he's brutally honest, and for him not to say like, "What the hell is going on?" That Bill Bedenbaugh is under a gag order about the depth chart.
Yeah, they wouldn't announce anything. I mean, we know who the starters are, I guess. They just won't say who's playing what side. We know
Cody
Bobby
Ford
Evans and Cody Ford are going to be the
Bobby
starters,
Evans.
which I think Bobby Evans would be left and Cody Ford would be right. But
I was going to say, do we really give any credence to Cody Ford's going to be a left tackle?
I would
But
find
Bobby
it hard to
Evans doesn't
believe.
like playing on the left side. That's the thing.
Like
Like
tough shit. He's going to have to play left.
And Bill Bedenbaugh said he doesn't believe in that left tackle, right tackle stuff, that you need to put your best at left.
yeah,
Because the
said-
days of one premier pass rusher are long
well, like
gone.
TCU,
He's right about that.
TCU
That's true.
put Ben Banagoo up against Bobby Evans all
Yeah.
last year, and he did really well against him. But like he was their best pass rusher, and he was rushing the right side.
It's just completely opposite of what he's used to. I mean,
But you
That's
can do
basically
that. I
what it
mean,
comes-
like Von Miller doesn't. I mean, he doesn't have to play against the left tackle every time. I mean,
But the bottom line, and that's all true. Like it's changed. The whole dynamic of it's changed. But the reality still is, it's still the blind side of your quarterback. You want your best pass blocker on the left. Like if it works, I'm not saying you do it to the detriment of Bobby Evans, but if he's better there, then I mean, do we really live in a world where Cody Ford is a better left tackle than Bobby Evans? I just don't buy that.
I may be switching my player to watch to
Cody Ford.
Cody Ford.
And if you
'Cause,
remember,
I mean, that's we talked about this before the podcast. We're going to talk about this later on. But guys that we're interested that really grab our interest. Like I didn't really put Cody Ford down. I didn't think about Cody Ford until we just started talking about this. But he's going to be a huge key to that offense.
And
a huge key.
and if you remember when we talked with Cody during camp, he said that Bedenbaugh has told him that he plays better at left, but that he actually feels more comfortable at right. So we'll see if that means anything.
I think, just in terms of, well, I mean, that was the clip from Bedenbaugh that was just the funny clip of the week. But here's Bill just talking about the overall development of the offensive line in preseason. Bill, how when you look at a whole in the preseason, how did Bobby and Drew and Ben kind of take over leadership of this line?
It's getting better. It's getting better. They hadn't been put in that situation. I think they've done a really good job within the group. You'd like to see it, continue to get better throughout the whole offense and the whole team. Some guys' personalities don't lend to that, but, they have to be it. They're experienced guys. They've played a lot. They've played at a high level. So it's getting better. It's just like play. It's got to continue to develop and continue to evolve. But, happy with what they're doing. But, again, it's got to, become better.
And, I mean, Kyler Murray, first-time starter. Well, at least now. I mean, he was a starter
first time he started a game in
technically
2018.
at Texas A&M.
There you go, Eddie.
He was a starter technically against West Virginia for 2 plays. But, I mean, this is a different deal. He's running a different offense. He's being asked to do different things. He's got different personnel. This, to me, is like having it is a brand new quarterback. You can't say because he played a few games at A&M that, it's not even like what Baker had at Texas Tech.
It's a lot different. And I think it's very strange to be thinking that Kyler Murray, and we talked a little bit about this last week, but it's very strange to be thinking that Kyler Murray has a lot more to prove than Baker Mayfield did as a 3-star walk-on. And Kyler Murray is the 5-star Mr. Everything.
Was he 5-star in Scout?
High 4-star.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I didn't think he was 4.
He was the number one quarterback.
Scout's a dead network, so we can just say that they suck.
If you don't lose a game in high school football in Texas, you should be an automatic 5-star. I don't care if you're 4'11".
You should, in that class.
In that class, you should be a 5-star.
And that sort of came back up because I talked with CeeDee Lamb about Kyler Murray.
Josh, stop pushing your damn buttons.
And Lamb was again just talking about the legend of Kyler. That he was the first guy that he'd ever heard like trying to seek out his highlights of another high school kid that wasn't in his market.
I'll say this, I would defend Rivals a little bit just because that's Rivals, and Josh, you can speak up. That's kind of Rivals' MO. Like if you're 5'11" and you're a quarterback, I don't know that they've ever given a 5-star to a guy because
I can think of one, and it's gonna charge Eddie Tate friggin' Martell.
I'm watching QB1.
Eddie might be coming around on Tate Martell.
I might be Tate Martell's biggest fan. I think I'm completely turning.
Why?
I started watching that
QB1.
QB1 that I told him to watch.
Same here.
I like him.
He's the
like
douche
Martell.
you like, not the douche you hate.
Exactly.
Jake Fromm is just shooting stuff all the time. In that
Jake Fromm is as country as they come.
That's going to be an interesting dynamic at Georgia.
What?
With Fields coming in there.
Oh, yeah.
No, I've
Fromm
heard.
Still be the starter, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Not even a
But
question.
the pressure, if they lose a game or he doesn't perform well,
definitely
is going to be at an all-time high.
I got to double check, but I thought Spencer Rattler was doing that for this year.
I think he is. I've heard that. But
so.
Like I said,
I've read. Like they're doing something with him. Like it literally every article about his games, it comes up that there's a camera crew following him around.
Nice.
Do they do anything in Arizona besides cover high school sports?
They do a
My God. It's like they have so many people. You'd think Arizona was actually relevant in football.
The guy, and I can't remember his name right now. I'd really like to give him credit. He writes for the Arizona Republican. That dude covers everything. Like anytime I need to look for something, Spencer Rattler, I just go to his timeline. I'm like, there it is. Like he always has the answer I need.
And he's always got the link to his YouTube. I mean, all his games are on
Ober's
live YouTube. And
Richard Obert.
Richard Obert. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
We need to get him on sometime, I guess.
Unless he's a pedophile.
No, that was 2 high school kids.
That was really weird too, though.
I think it was one of them.
Which may also speak to the.
He was asking for pics of dudes naked and stuff or something.
It was really weird. It was something, yeah. I'm not sure what it was, but
that's
it does
scary.
sound familiar.
You guys know that my biggest fear is someone accusing you guys of doing something on the sidelines. I've told you that before. Not that I'm saying you guys are pedophiles. I'm just saying, when we got that letter from that crazy lady in Iowa State, I sped read through that thing, wondering, is she accusing Eddie of upskirt or something?
Yeah,
what's going on?
No, I just wouldn't move for the Palm Squad.
Yeah, she was mad at you because
she couldn't see the Palm Squad.
It was the craziest letter ever.
That lady. Well, she's on the bitch list with Shelly Meyer.
Eddie is a gangster on the sidelines. He goes for exactly what he needs. There is no concern for what anybody else in the universe might need out of Eddie.
Well, do I go to their job and tell them where to stand? I don't.
I love it. I love it. You get better shots than I do for a lot of reasons, but that's right up there at the top of me. I'm like, oh, am I in your way? I hate to stand near the cheerleaders because I'm they want to watch the game too. I'll move almost invariably.
Bob, you were at the Oklahoman when that one dude got accused of upskirt pics at high school graduations, weren't you?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like, that freaks me out,
That's
man.
a blast from the past there.
I think the best way to avoid that is just don't take upskirts of high school girls.
No shit.
Don't go under the bleachers to take upskirt photos.
It worries me that you even know about that. Okay, so Kyler Murray back on track, getting his first right. I kind of had a little conversation with him. Once again, I'm going to play a James Hale question. It's like a tribute to James Hale.
What is this?
Oh, there you go.
It's just what it is, Eddie.
I should have brought Burger King if I knew we were going to do this.
Okay. Why do you got to kick a man when he's down and out? All right.
Because I go for gasps, not laughs.
Here's Kyler Murray in a discussion.
Has this been pretty cool for you to be in a game week where you're the starter? And
it's definitely exciting. Definitely exciting. You know, it's been a long time for me, so I can't wait to get it going.
Are you a guy that's ever had to calm yourself down, or you just naturally kind of pretty calm out on the field?
My bad. I mean, I remember my first start freshman year. You know, I couldn't really sleep that night. But other than that, I mean, back in high school, my first start was kind of, you know, a little anxious. But other than that, no, not really. I mean, I'm pretty even kill when it comes to all of it. But
that South Carolina game you're talking about?
Yeah.
It was a pretty good day that day.
Definitely. Yeah, it was a good day.
So you don't ever worry about, like...
It was good when we got on the field.
Yeah,
it was just the
so
night,
when you get
know,
on the field, it's leading up to it, you don't like.
Yeah, I got to stay composed. You know, I got to stay myself and, you know, get the guys going and, you know, execute. That's, at the end of the day, that's what it's all about.
How much did that West Virginia game last year help you with this?
I think, you know, playing my freshman year helped me with that as well. You know, Coach Riley, you know, we talked about it before. You know, how do you think you would have performed if you hadn't had that experience? But I did have that experience, so I think that helped me a lot, you know, seeing those guys playing against SEC, you know, players, guys that have been in the league, practicing against Myles Garrett, those type of guys. You know, it helped me out a lot.
I'd completely forgotten that he was down there with Myles Garrett.
Myles Garrett, yeah.
Kind of cool.
He's just such an interesting guy to me because we're going from Baker to a guy that is – I don't think anybody would say that Kyler is like mousy, but he's just quiet cool. Mm-hmm. Like everybody, I mean, he's like swag guy. I mean, like everybody talks about
Baker.
He's got swag.
It's kind of like Baker Mayfield walks into a party and he's kind of like the loudest guy there.
Yeah.
It's like, look at me. Not really look at me, but like
he's the life of the party. Yeah. Everybody gravitates
like I'm
him.
here. Kyler's the guy in the corner that kind of
everybody. He just if you come up, you know, he's chill,
and everybody's like, that's Kyler Murray.
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody knows him.
Exactly.
I mean, that's basically it. Great analysis, Eddie.
Party analogies.
Eddie, as a guy who's partied,
thank you.
Would Baker be Russ and partied with these guys? Would Baker be Russ and
no? I think
Paul
Kyler
George is Kyler.
Ooh,
no, I think Kyler would be more Russ.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because Russ is
pretty low key.
Yeah,
he doesn't do a whole lot
except when he's with his
not
boys.
Always a party
yeah,
with him.
I would say. Well, I have.
I know.
Baker, I don't. I'm trying to think.
You did break into the Lake Arcadia party.
Had to. I don't know who Baker would be.
He's
Baker's not black, so I guess you can't really relate him to
that's not true at
a
all.
basketball player. That's very
that's
true.
Not
that's 100% true.
Personalities know no color.
Well, for this purpose, they do.
That's just. I think that's racist, but I'm not sure.
I think it's racist that you think it's racist.
Somebody's gonna bitch about this for sure.
Contact Carey Murdoch on Twitter.
Baker's. I hate
Whoever
to say
wants to
this.
sponsor our new "Is This Racist" segment, that'll be great.
I hate to say this. Fading Up Barbershop. Maybe they'll do it. Scissor hands.
Now that's racist.
Oh my god!
I just saw Scissor Hands last night.
All time
track.
Good dude. I live off the electricity of his Instagram posts.
Watching him,
it is so good.
Watching him watch a horse race is fantastic.
Oh my god, I can't imagine.
I mean, it's like all of a sudden someone's just screaming, and you're like, "Is there a fight going on?" And no, it's just Scissor Hands betting on the horses.
I heard Rodgers was cleaning up last night.
He was. I mean, Rodgers
the track.
You remember?
He's in the game.
Yeah,
like in the horse racing game.
Yeah. Like he knows, which horses.
Well, I thought he did he own a horse, or have some partnership in a horse?
It seems like it.
I think he did.
Mark Rodgers is a very interesting dude. I don't
fraternity brothers, so.
He's Fiji?
Yep.
I don't know what Mark does most of the time. I don't know if I want to know, but he's into a lot of stuff. I don't know for a fact, but I try to be more careful around him because I think maybe he knows people that could take care of me. And make it look really clean.
What's the town's he from?
Blackwell
Mafia.
If there, he would be the kingpin if there is.
Carey just winked twice. It's weird.
Mark, if he's not gonna listen to this podcast, but he's gonna get secondhand info.
Oh, they're talking about
somebody's gonna make it up. Carey said you're head of the mafia.
That's exactly how it came out.
No, but Kyler, I mean, it is kind of interesting just to know that he admits like he gets nervous.
Yeah, for a guy that has been in, I mean, he played in both Under Armour games. He's one of, I think, only like 3 or 4 guys to ever do that.
Walking around with $5 million and change in his pocket.
Literally walks around as the legend that he is out of Allen.
Hopefully he doesn't know that Kendrick guy from the Browns.
Michael Kendrick?
Yeah. Do you think Vaitai turned him in?
I don't know. I hope that Baker hasn't invested any money with Michael Kendrick, though.
Ooh. Well, I mean, if you're going to invest in anybody, it's going to be Carl Nassib.
I kind of respect what Michael Kendrick was doing, though.
I read some of that stuff.
I mean, that is like, I saw somebody tweet last night
like
that
he turned like 100,000 into like 600,000 in like 31 days.
Yes, like just ridiculous.
Of course, you don't do that unless it's insider trading. I mean, it's not like he was, it was hard to apprehend him or figure it out.
Yeah, so Charles Robinson from Yahoo said that Gordon Gekko was less brash.
That's pretty good.
It is interesting, though. I mean, the Kyler Murray era, an era that I honestly, even like going back to the day before that he announced his transfer to Oklahoma, was kind of like, I never thought that this was going to happen like this. And especially like with Baker getting the extra year and everything that went into 2017, just, I don't know. I'm kind of ready for it to begin on Saturday.
You know what time it is?
Now, it's time for the Choctaw Casino and Resorts Pick 3, where we find out what member of the Scoop Crew really is the biggest degenerate gambler. It's the Pick 3 from the Choctaw Casino and Resorts.
All right, so each and every week, we are going to pick 3 games, 3 big games across the country. We've kind of decided that we don't want to do OU just because people get pissed off if, we pick against. Like, you can pick OU to win, but if you say they're not going to cover, people still get pissed off. Josh, stop it. So we picked 3 games. We've got the lines here for you, Josh. You don't have to keep pounding away at your computer and looking it up. Auburn against Washington, Notre Dame against Michigan, and I said let's do a Big 12 game. So West Virginia's going to play Tennessee, which I think could be an intriguing game. Because West Virginia is just a total letdown program.
For the Big 12's sake, I hope it isn't.
I do too.
Like, West Virginia needs to win handedly.
God. If they struggle even if they struggle against Tennessee, I mean, it's not a big game if West Virginia comes out and sucks this season and Will Grier gets hurt in the second game or something.
Yeah. That would not be good.
But Auburn, Washington,
Will Grier's wife probably leave him if that happens.
Auburn, Washington.
You don't think she's there just for the NFL money?
Probably.
Despite the 2 kids?
Divorce him, and his brother's like a big YouTube star.
Yeah, like little brother, I think.
Yeah.
Both of his little brothers.
Auburn taking on Washington. It's a neutral site game in Atlanta, where we just were. Love to see a college football game there.
We were so close.
Yeah. I would have been so broke. Like, we literally, we were running on fumes at the end of last season. College football playoff is not a cheap endeavor.
Especially not in Los Angeles.
Yeah. So,
a little bit closer to home this year.
Auburn
if you were to get to Dallas.
Auburn's a 2.5-point favorite over Washington.
Do we start now?
Yeah, who wants to go first?
I absolutely love Auburn. I think Jared Stidham, second year under Gus, I think they're going to be extremely good. Like, I think Auburn is I don't know about a national title contender, certainly a contender in the SEC. We saw what they did to Alabama a year ago, but I like Jarrett Stidham at basically what's going to be home. I mean, that's going to be 80% Auburn fans, right? In Atlanta?
Oh, absolutely.
At least.
I mean, do
people in the Pac-12
people in
don't
Seattle
care
even
about
know
football?
that Washington's starting this weekend?
Probably not. They're probably, I don't know what they're doing in Washington. Shaving their armpits?
Shaving their armpits and going to by the house that Kurt
Or
Cobain
not
killed
shaving
himself
their
at.
armpits?
Nirvana.
Don't rip on Nirvana.
I've been waiting for
He's
Kurt
not.
Cobain to come out with new music the last 20 years.
He's dead.
Prince comes out with
wrong
music
with
all the
you?
time. Tupac comes out with music all the time.
They think Sony
Biggie comes out
claims
with
that they
music all the
have
time.
new Michael Jackson music.
Yeah. I think there could be an argument made that Michael Jackson's still alive.
We're never going to get through this segment. Bob, I
Love
assume
Auburn.
that
Love Auburn.
you love Auburn too, the way
I
you're shaking your head.
love Auburn too because I don't believe in Washington. They might be the best team in the Pac-12, but I don't think that means anything this year.
I don't like Jake Browning. Am I the only one?
No, you stole my shit, basically, what just happened there.
Jake
Yeah.
Brown.
Last year when he was like a top 5 preseason Heisman guy,
Oh, God.
I was like, I don't know what you guys saw in that playoff game where he was just completely in over his head against Alabama.
Jake Browning is now entering his 9th year at Washington.
He's
Does it not
been, it
feel
seems
like
like
he's
he's
been
been
there
there for a
forever?
while. I mean, Washington, 3 years ago, they were really good. When they had Ross and that big white defensive tackle.
Yeah.
I can't even remember. Is he doing anything in the NFL?
I couldn't tell
He
you.
was really good. But their defense was solid. Their offense was good enough. Browning, I just don't like Browning's arm. I just don't think he has a strong arm.
Their defense will be good again. Like they've got a good crew running that
They got
defense.
Peterson
Every
as
year
their
they
coach.
lose guys and they come back and it looks good. So they'll be good. Auburn's not going to run away with it, but 2.5, they cover that.
So, Josh, you're going Auburn 2.5.
Yeah, I think we're unanimous here.
Yeah, we are, because I'm going to take them too. All right, moving on. Notre Dame, Michigan. We're going to get to see the Shea Patterson era start.
I'm really in the middle on this. I think this could. I think
Will
the line.
Jim Harbaugh ruin a perfectly good quarterback?
Are we in South Bend or Ann
we are
Arbor?
in South Bend. We're in South Bend this weekend.
Notre Dame
Game
is
day
a
will be there as
1.5
well.
point favorite.
And it kind of opened out of Pick'em. It's been going up. It's been going back and forth a little bit. I think that there's definitely some question marks about Notre Dame and what they're going to do. Are they starting Wimbash or Wimbosh at quarterback? I think they're kind of Wimbush. They're
David
kind of in
Wimbush.
between. So I guess the reason that I'm going to go with Michigan in this is it's kind of a dumb reason, but I heard somebody talking about it over the summer, and it seems like Jim Harbaugh has been relatively quiet this summer, which kind of maybe insinuates that he thinks they're going to be pretty damn good, and especially defensively. So I like Michigan to go into South Bend.
I hate
this
it when
weekend
Jim
straight
Harbaugh
up.
shows up at like a Migos concert, dressed head to toe in his Michigan gear.
Yeah, it is kind
He
of
looks
weird.
like
I mean,
an idiot.
he's just a weird guy. I mean, he takes his baseball glove to every baseball game that he goes to. He's a grown ass man.
So you're going Michigan plus 1.5.
I like Michigan. I think just Shea Patterson ends up being the difference. I think he's going to be really, really good.
Bob, what say you?
Notre Dame, the Golden Domers. I just
Because
think.
you're from Chicago.
Well, that's true. That's a very good reason.
You're Catholic.
That is Chicago's team, but I just don't think Harbaugh is ever going to get it done in a big game.
I'm just not going to show up at Mass on Sunday
I
now.
forget we got 2 Catholics on this program. Josh, you're not Catholic, are you?
No.
You're satanic.
I can confidently say that I made it through going to Mass growing up and did the altar server thing.
Yep.
Never had a weird moment. You know what I mean?
You guys are weird.
8:30 every Sunday.
Josh,
Never got touched.
you going with Michigan or Notre Dame?
I'm going with Michigan here. I like where Eddie's at with Shea Patterson. I think it's going to be an ugly game because Patterson's not going to have the full go yet. He's not going to get it. I feel like Brian Kelly is one of those kind of dark horse. He could get fired at the end of this year. Like I don't think there's enough people talking about Notre Dame at one point really seemed to be on the right track with him, and now they can't find a quarterback, and he was supposed to be an offensive guy. There's all these reasons, and I don't know. Like I don't love Harbaugh's antics sometimes, but he's a good coach. I believe that, and with Kelly, I think he just berates all of his players. So at the bottom line, I just like what Michigan has offensively a little bit more. I think they'll put up just a few more points.
I'm going with Michigan because of one thing, and it's on both sides, defense. Notre Dame lost Elko, right, to Texas A&M.
Yep.
So they've got a new defensive coordinator, and I think Michigan is going to be really good on defense.
They have a couple. I mean, Gary's obviously one of the more dominant players in the country, but that'll be a good game. There are some terrific first weekend games this year. It's kind of
and they're
as
all
opposed to last year
spread out.
Yeah, I wish Auburn and Washington wasn't at 2:30. I wish that was a night game, but if that's my only complaint, only gripe,
yeah,
so be it. We'll be watching it over here for the post game, I'm sure,
and we'll be able to see the second half.
All right, the Big 12 game we're picking, West Virginia and Tennessee. That is a neutral site game in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Tell you what, West Virginia, I mean, you got a lot of people believing in you. I don't know if I'm one of those believers, but I am a buyer this weekend in the Mountaineers. I just think that Tennessee, I kind of forgotten that Keller Christ is he their starter at Tennessee this year? Is he going to win the job over Jarrett Garantano?
It seems bad to ask a question about the starting quarterback when you're betting on a line.
Yeah, no, well, it was rhetorical because that's what I've read is that Keller Christ is the starter. Thank you for backing me up on that one. But yeah, I do like West Virginia. I think Will Greer should have a heyday. They're going to be able to put up a lot of points. It's just going to be, can they get enough stops once the conference play starts? And I guess we will see. I'm not a buyer just yet, but I can't go against my man Holgo, especially in Charlotte, where I would say that's going to be a pretty good tailgate atmosphere with West Virginia and Tennessee fans.
Yeah, I'm going to say I'll switch this up because it's not fair if I keep going last because you guys give all the points and then I make a more informed decision. I'm going to go with Tennessee to cover. I think West Virginia will win. I love
10's a lot. I mean, 10's a
I
bad
love West
number.
Virginia's receiving core. I love the quarterback. I love their running back, McCoy. He's very good, like way underrated. Like I think he's better than Crawford. Crawford was a speed guy, and he could get into the open. He was gone. But McCoy to me is a much better overall runner. I just think Jeremy Pruitt will probably make. I mean, let's face it, Butch Jones was recruiting well. There's talent in Tennessee,
and that's the thing. I think that
people are
frustrates
shitting all over Tennessee, but they were recruiting really good players.
Yeah. I don't think Tennessee's ever. It's kind of like Texas. I mean, both schools recruit well. It's just they shit down their leg when they get an opportunity.
Butch Jones
to
was just an
succeed.
idiot. I mean, he was an idiot.
That's true.
And so that's why it changes with Pruitt. I got Tennessee as well.
To cover, or do you like them straight up?
Just cover. Let's not get crazy.
10 is a big number.
That's
though.
a big one.
It does kind of surprise me. It scares me. Looking at all lines across the entire board this week, there's some monster lines. Like Wisconsin's giving like 35.5 to Western Kentucky.
Everything that you have said, Eddie, goes against what you bet. You took West Virginia to cover.
Yeah, I did.
And you're agreeing with me and Bob on everything that we're saying. Are you changing?
It's called handicapping, Carey. We're just filling time.
Eddie knows there's more money to be made if they're betting the other side.
Exactly.
So he's just playing the game.
Exactly.
Now, I'm with Eddie on this one with West Virginia. I think Tennessee is going to be better as the year goes on. I think they're terrible at quarterback. I don't think Jeremy Pruitt fixes that. And I don't – it may be a deal where it's a 7-point game and Tennessee throws a late pick, like a pick six or something. Like I could see it going down like that, where it's not so much that Tennessee was bad or anything like that. It's just they're offensively they're having to force stuff that they're not capable of running yet.
So you're saying backdoor cover, basically, for West Virginia.
I think that it could be like that. I think Tennessee will hang around. I think defensively, like you said, they've got a ton of good athletes. They're not hurting for talent. I would guess if you could ask Dana Holgorsen, he'd be happy to change rosters except for the quarterback position. And that's going to be the difference. And again, it's guys running a new offense. They don't know what they're doing, and they're having to do it on a big stage. That's usually not a great recipe.
I don't know if I feel good about this because Bob told me yesterday he sucks at this stuff, and he's finishing
I'm
dead
terrible.
last.
Oh, I'm god
No
awful.
matter what happens, and I'm pretty much right in line with. Well, not Notre Dame. We're different on it, but Bob and I both like Tennessee. So
what do we have? 2-2, and then consensus on Auburn, Washington.
everyone's the same on Auburn. Michigan 3-1, and then West Virginia 2-2. So we'll keep tally all year long. This is kind of something we want to come up with and just have fun. You guys on the board, feel free on the podcast thread to throw your 2 cents. And if you really want to, we could have, on the board every week, we could have people pick, but I don't know if I want to keep track of all that stuff. That's a lot.
DM me if you want to make some bets on the side. We can. I'll send you a number and we can work some things out.
Can we discuss publicly about the first thought Eddie had? And we didn't know about the intro to this segment before we started having this conversation. For everybody out there, Eddie's immediate reaction when we were going to pick 3 was he wanted to have a sidey going on outside of what we're actually doing here.
Yeah, we can make it
he wants
interesting.
to take bets, yes.
There's not a lot of doubt about who the degenerate is. I think we all feel pretty good about it.
I'm just looking to make it interesting. This is the best time of the year, and
By
it
the
will
way,
not be ruined.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
The Oklahoma City Thunder stretching Kyle Singler's contract.
It's great news.
Almost this podcast almost could end right there. We almost don't just walk out.
And on a high note, just like Costanza.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I wanted to tell you guys, because Eddie screwed me over last weekend and didn't join me at the Choctaw Casino in Durant. Had a chance to go out there. They put me up. They put my parents
Prior
up.
obligation.
They tried to put Eddie up. I think they charged me for that room, too, because you canceled too
Well,
late.
If we want to be honest, I said that I couldn't go
No, you said you
a week
didn't want
and
to
a
go
half
to the
ago.
concert.
Yeah, I thought that meant the entirety of it, though.
It's not just a concert, Eddie. It's an entire resort.
I was jealous, though, once I saw how good of a time you had.
I'm gonna
Bowling
tell you,
alley.
The
Sounds
Choctaw, and this is something we're going to actually try and put together a scoop get together, because I know that's something that everybody's always wanting to do, especially our scoopers in Dallas. But I'm going to tell you, like, if you live in Dallas, Oklahoma City, this place is amazing. It is one of the nicest, because they got craps tables now. They got roulette tables now. Like, it's just like going to Vegas now. And the restaurants are fantastic. They comped us for food. You would not believe my parents. They turned into rabid jackals.
Were they like Jerry's
when they
parents?
found out, I shouldn't have told them that the meal was free. But my mom ordered the most expensive thing on the menu, the surf and turf. I had never even seen her eat a steak before.
That's what you're supposed to do, though, when
Right?
it's being comped.
Absolutely.
She did do the insulting thing, though, and ordered A1 sauce.
Yeah. The chef didn't come out, did he?
He probably spit in the A1 sauce before they brought it out to her. I didn't tell her that. But yeah, she's just sitting there shoving shrimp and steak down her gob hole because she knows it's free. My dad's changing his order, and the lady's like, well, that'll be 99 cents extra. He's like, I don't care, lady. Just bring me what I want.
I'm not paying.
I had to leave a $50 tip just to make up for my parents being jackals. And the restaurants there are fantastic. Look, I'm telling you, like, if you want a guys' weekend, go to the hotel rooms are as nice as anything we stay in on the road. They got the internet on the TV. They got all kinds of. It's just amazing. So, it's the Choctaw Casino and Resort in Durant. We're going to tell you more about it as we go on. But look, you guys wanted more podcasts. You wanted more frequent podcasts. Choctaw Casino made that happen. Plus, their concert venue is fantastic. If it wasn't for football, I'd go out and see Casey Musgraves because her new album I love. But Alice in Chains is coming. They got all kinds of concerts out there. Great venue to see. It's all indoors, so you don't have to worry about anything falling on you.
It's probably a little too late to do it right now, but one of my buddies did. His fraternity brothers got together. They had their fantasy draft down there.
Yeah,
and it was perfect. They took care of them.
If you got wives that want like a girls' weekend, their pool is unbelievable.
Yeah, I heard the pool was pretty.
It's unbelievable.
Heard it's Vegas-like.
It's. I'm like MGM's pool doesn't really impress me compared to that pool. It's just everybody pees in it, and that's where all the parties happen.
Hmm.
They did find out that the MGM pool had the most urine content of any pool.
You kind of know when you go to a pool like that that's what's going to happen.
But this one's got like the rocks and the grottos and the waterfalls and everything. And they got a bowling alley, a cinema. They got this thing called the District. It was unbelievable. I'm definitely going back after the season.
Some places in Vegas have like little mirrors that you can do things on out at the pool. That might be a Vegas thing.
Yeah, I think so. I think they'd notice that in Durant. Not a lot of people walking around with Coke.
You'd be surprised.
I do know that the security checks the bathrooms a lot during concerts.
I would imagine so. Need to get down there, though.
You could have been there last weekend.
Well, I had a baby shower I had to go to.
So now you're in baby shower. You were in wedding season for 5 years.
That's what comes after wedding season. It's
what happened
all these
9
people
months
are
ago.
Sexing.
What big event happened 9 months ago?
I have no idea.
Cubs?
Why in the hell did you have to go?
Yeah, why did you have to go?
I'm married and I don't go.
That doesn't compute.
You're a liar.
I don't know. I mean, is that not normal for people to go to baby showers?
Not
drink other people's liquor and beer?
Who has liquor and beer in a baby shower?
This is Eddie.
Do you guys?
You are so caught in a lie.
Do you
right
not go
now.
out? Do you not go out? We can call Matt Berry right now if we need to.
It was Matt Berry's baby shower?
No, but he was there. Shout out, Matt.
I don't believe you. All right.
That's fine.
So let's move on.
We'll talk about OU.
One of the big stories that came out this week is at the wheel linebacker position. Lincoln Riley, who would not name any depth charts whatsoever. By the way, we still haven't heard any word on any kind of depth chart show, and it's Thursday.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to have one.
Because that was the theory, is they had that depth chart show last year.
They haven't even announced captains.
No, I mean, Lincoln Riley last night, you went to see him.
And he said they haven't even asked the players to vote on him. So
you think after that he was like, "Oh shit, we got to do."
It was kind of funny. He goes, "I'd like to do it closer to game day." I'm like, 3 days left. How much closer do you want to get at that point?
But he did announce that there's a battle going on at the will linebacker spot between Caleb Kelly and Curtis Bolton, and we talked to the coaches, Mike Stoops and Tim Kish, about it yesterday. Lincoln had indicated yesterday that Caleb and Curtis were still in a battle at will. What has that position battle been like for you?
Well, it's been good. I think both guys have really pushed each other and made each other better, and I would assume as of right now both guys will play a substantial amount, and they'll continue to battle it out. And the guy that's most consistent as we go through the season we'll just keep grading it. Keep giving them both opportunities, and let them continually work. I think that's good and it's positive. It makes both players better.
With Caleb moving inside, it took some time to make that transition from outside to inside. Buzzy's played, Curtis Bolton's played both positions, and he's probably a little more comfortable in there right now. But we have some defenses where we can, actually put all our athletes on the field as much as possible, and there's going to be situations where both of them are on there at the same time.
Was it hard to come to that decision? Was it just watching them in practice? You just knew it just seemed to fit that they could both play.
Yeah, it definitely did. It's for us. We felt like coming out of last year, we just need to be a little bit more athletic if we can get those 11 guys on the field and. You get stretched so much with these offenses nowadays that you got to be sideline to sideline with your defense, and so that was part of the reasoning behind that.
I
don't know which way to
shocking.
go. I don't know which way to go on this.
It's bad for Caleb Kelly?
Right. Is that an indictment on Kelly, or is that praising just how much Bolton, the work that he has put in?
You could maybe make the argument it's somewhere in between. I think that it's not probably good news. I still don't think that there's any way that Caleb Kelly isn't the first guy out there at the will position. I will say, though, and I guess this is kind of, I don't know if doubling down is the right word, but after talking to Curtis Bolton yesterday, I feel more comfortable with the idea of him playing. Does that make sense?
I've always liked Curtis Bolton.
I liked
He's a good dude.
I liked his.
No, I mean, not.
aura.
I've liked him as a person. Like, I always thought when he had an opportunity, he made plays.
And he has. He's kind
But
of.
it was
in that
mainly
Neville,
in the spring because he's always been hurt.
He's in that Neville Gallimore camp of there hasn't been a whole lot of chances because, well, he's had less chances than Neville, but he's been hurt the entire time.
And he did
he's
a lot
coming back from an injury.
Special teams too. A couple of years ago, he was one of those special team guy that was getting one tackle after another. And he was off to a nice start last season before everything happened at Baylor.
Well, it'll be interesting. I mean, Josh, what do you read from it? It seems like there is fading hope for Caleb Kelly and his services at the University of Oklahoma. And I don't know if I'm ready to give up just yet, but it just seems like there's something there that we're missing, or maybe it just, and it kind of hurts to say this, maybe he's just not very good.
The problem with Caleb Kelly is he's not a guy that's ever been a take on a blocker, going to shed, like he's not that kind of linebacker. It's not the way his game works. He wants to be athletic and move around and do those kind of things. Inside linebacker, sometimes you're not going to make the play. You got to eat a block. It's got to keep this guy loose so that Kenneth Murray can come in from the backside and make a play, or whatever the situation calls for. And it's not that Caleb Kelly won't do that. That's just not where that's not where he's at his best. So this move inside was always going to be tricky because it doesn't really suit him. But at the same time, you got to try to find a way to get one of your most talented guys on the field consistently. So I don't really, to me, I don't read it as anything other than either an indictment of Caleb Kelly or trying to spur him to get it together. Because to what advantage is Curtis Bolton? He's enrolled for the final semester. There's nowhere for him to go. He could have transferred if he wanted to. I guess we learned that he could have done the grad transfer route. And, all that stuff was out there for him. So he's clearly not going anywhere. So you don't have to worry about that aspect of it. It's not like, if we don't praise him, we could lose him. So it just feels like, Caleb, it's now or never. And it feels like them being so upfront about that situation kind of says, I guess that's how I read that.
It tells you what the situation really is. I mean, I don't think we're looking too far into it, do you? I mean, maybe it really is just a contest or a competition.
Well, I mean, the one thing that Tim Kish said and Mike said is they're going to keep playing them both, and they'll let it work out. So I think they feel like we all do, that Caleb Kelly has the highest ceiling, but he's not there yet. And if they need to give him a push to get him to get there, this is probably the way to do it.
So the question, I guess, is are they as strong at middle linebacker as they would want you to believe after talking to Tim Kish? I mean, it sounds like Deshaun White is, outside of Buki, him and Ronnie Perkins, he might be the third guy that they've really talked up out of this class.
Let's talk about the freshmen, but first off, we've got to do this from Coop Ale Works.
Get to the fridge. Grab yourself a Native Amber, an F5 IPA, or any of the great Coop Ale Works beers, because it's time to make a toast to this week's player to watch.
All right, so first game coming up. We've all kind of decided that we're all going to highlight someone that really intrigues us more than anyone, being that this is the first game. Obviously we could throw, Caleb Kelly in there as much as we talked about him, but let's just go around and kind of talk about, we all kind of picked out a guy that we're most intrigued to see. Josh, let's start with you, because I think we've probably gotten a little fatigue talking about this guy, but you kind of have a guy that I think a lot of people would pick as their number one guy.
Oh yeah, I don't think it's any surprise that the recruiting guy is going to go with Buki. I want to see him.
It's Buki
because it's been so unbelievably. It's uniform across the coaching staff. Every time I watch something, when you guys have talked to the staff, there hasn't been hesitancy. He's doing well for a freshman. He's got stuff to learn. I mean, that's there, but it's not at the same time. It's so this guy's really good. He's different. He's a different kind of cat. And when you hear guys talk about that, I don't know how you don't get excited about watching him. And it's not – if Oklahoma was starting with Army tomorrow or on Saturday, I would feel differently about it. But this is a team that wants to throw the ball. They want to get vertical. They're going to challenge him because he's a freshman. They're going to make him prove that he's a guy. And so I think there's a chance he makes a big play on Saturday. And even if he doesn't, he's just one of those guys, we can all remember back to the Army game. He's around the ball a lot. Like, it's kind of magnetized to him. So I think he'll make a play. I think he's going to be interesting to watch. And plus, just kind of like what you guys just said about the fatigue, let's end all the hype. Let's see what's real. Let's see if he is as good as everybody's telling us he is.
Eddie, who are you going with?
It's kind of a weird answer, and I think it's probably because we've gotten so much Rodney Anderson over the last, and rightfully so, with what he's done over the last 6 games and everything that he did in the Rose Bowl, going for over 200 yards. But I think the guy that has been most forgotten about is Trey Sermon, the guy that he shares the backfield with. I think that, you look at what Sermon was able to do a season ago, and I think he led the Big 12 in yards after contact. He second on the team in rushing, obviously, behind Rodney Anderson, second on the team in rushing touchdowns. But I think that Trey Sermon's going to have a massive year. And it's a hot sports opinion, but I think I could make the argument Trey Sermon's going to have a bigger year than Rodney Anderson. I don't think it's going to happen, but I could make the argument if I wanted to be just argumentative. God damn it.
Are you talking like in terms of numbers or just in terms of impact?
Both. I don't think it's going to happen. But if you wanted if you just wanted to have a debate, I could make that debate.
This isn't the Coop Ale Works hot take line.
Well, I'll go with Trey Sermon, though. I think he is going to have a massive year, and I think it will start this weekend.
Somebody's had some DNRs.
They were good. I had a couple. What was that?
I don't think we had any DNRs.
No, well, I had F5s, a couple F5s though before
F5
I went out.
IPAs. That's the popular.
They were tasty. Had a mug in my freezer.
That's the way to
poured
do it.
Poured it in. Oh, it was good. It was good stuff.
Bob, who are you going with?
Switching it up since we just talked about
you toasting?
Curtis Bolton for the last 5 minutes. I'm going to give a toast to Trey Norwood, Mr. Consistency, according to Lincoln Riley. And I think he's the one, when you look at the cornerback spot, you just keep wondering how long he holds that position until Trey Brown overtakes him. That's been the consensus feeling among a lot of fans. But if he is as consistent as Lincoln keeps on talking about, then maybe he's someone that we need to stop pushing to the side as someone, okay, he's going to start, but then he's not going to be there when it counts here later in the season. If he can be the guy that the coaches have said he is, that'll be a pretty good and a nice big boost there in the secondary.
Do you not drink because your stomach will explode, or do you not drink just out of, I don't know, are you a religious weirdo or something?
No, it is the...
Show me a Catholic that doesn't drink.
The pancreatitis from a couple years ago, they said if it flares up again, it's going to be a heck of a lot worse.
Oof.
And the first one was a 3-day stay in the hospital, including on my anniversary.
So you did drink before the pancreatitis?
I did, and they said it's one of the causes. They didn't say it was my cause. In fact, they didn't find out the cause of mine, which really irritated me. But, so I don't have any real fried food, like no fried chicken, and I don't drink anymore. I had to limit a lot of stuff that I love.
What if it's free chicken?
No.
I've seen you eat some crap that's free before.
I know, but just like Monday with Levy's, I didn't touch any of that stuff. Except for the Impossible Burger. Everything else, that's going to mess up my stomach.
I like those jalapeno brats.
Yeah, they were pretty good. Those were good. Those were probably the best out of what we had.
So, Bob, what's the thing you miss the most?
Fried chicken. Love it.
It's a good choice.
Can you have, Cane's?
Yeah, but I'll limit it. If I get a box combo, I'll have 1 or 2 of the tenders. That's it.
That's sad.
That's pain. Yeah,
more for
sorry,
me.
Bob.
So I'm not even going to try to
pour a little of your beer out for Bob.
Yes, exactly.
I will shotgun a beer for Bob. How about that?
I said this at the beginning of the podcast. Cody Ford could easily be, my guy on my list, but I went with Khalil Houghton because he has been getting a lot of play. They need safeties. And it's this whole thing about, you guys have been talking about, like Khalil Houghton. I think, Josh, maybe you said it last week. Like, he's the most surprising guy to you, watching him in high school and how athletic he was versus what he's been in college. And if he truly is making that breakthrough like Carey Cooks continues to talk about, he's going to be really worth watching, I think.
Just has to stop thinking. That's the thing they've said about him the last 2 years. He thinks way too much when he gets out there and just letting the natural instincts take over, because he's got them.
I think
trust in him.
It might be good to offer some clarity on the safety position, because I find myself confused sometimes about
Broyles and Barnes,
of what they're trying to do. Yeah, and I know that there has to be a lot of listeners out there that feel the same.
And by the way, Parker's kind of been a non-talking point.
I know he was in a boot last week, so that might have been a reason. But what I'm curious about is if they get away from the nickel base and they only have 4 guys in the secondary, who's in, who's out? Does Buki stay in? We heard Lincoln say he'll most likely start in the nickel, which makes sense. But then when you move away from that, do you move him to strong safety and you pull out one of those other guys?
I would be of the opinion, even though he hasn't recorded a tackle in his entire career, that Buki should be staying on the field at all times.
And I asked Lincoln Riley about Robert Barnes yesterday, and the way he made it sound like, as much as Barnes is doing some good things, you might look for him more on special teams, and that kind of gave me a hint that Justin Broyles has probably won that spot.
He's been banged up too, Justin Broyles. So I think all those guys have kind of taken their turns.
Except for Barnes, because Barnes hasn't. Because that's why I asked,
which isn't good if he's the only one that hasn't been banged up, and he's the odd man out.
The other thing that I just asked Mike Stoops out of curiosity yesterday, because I know we've talked about it a ton on the podcast. Like, how can you not have Trey Brown more involved? And I said, will you play? Could you play 3 cornerbacks? Mm-hmm. He seemed to be really against the idea of doing anything but having 2 starters.
So you have Parnell Motley on one side, you have Trey Norwood on the other, Trey Brown backing up one of those guys, and then Miguel Edwards is in the mix as well.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. They've been preaching the last couple of years, if you don't start, it doesn't matter. It has mattered. It takes something dramatic to
remember how hard
to make any sort of change. Is this the year?
Listen, we're talking about the same coaching staff that kept Jordan Thomas's ass out there for half a year.
So if they're really talking about
further back
championship depth, like what Deshaun White and people of that nature and Curtis Bolton and Kelly alternating, is that legitimately a thing, or is it going to be once the season gets going, boom, your starters are your starters?
All right, well, that is your raising a toast to the players that we think are that most intrigue us. Want to say thanks to Coop Ale Works, who jumped on board. Was one of the first ones to help sponsor this podcast. And if you don't know about Coop Ale Works, they're a 9-year-old craft brewery in Oklahoma City. They're growing all the time, but they've got 7 different year-round beers and 4 different seasonals. The Oktoberfest is out now. Go check it out. But make sure to stock up for your tailgate with some of Coop's F5 IPA, like Eddie said. The Horny Toad Blonde is their most popular if you just want to go out and try something. But Coop Ale Works, available at just about every liquor store. I know my local store, they're building the damn refrigerator right now. I mean, it's
for the
it's going to be big time because
it's
in October.
First week of October.
October, you can go in and get your Coop Ale Works refrigerated. So that's going to be cool.
It's going to be awesome.
So thanks to Coop Ale Works, and definitely we're going to be raising the glass post-game and pre-game. And we haven't even talked about that, but we'll talk about it before we get out of here on the podcast. Okay, recruiting-wise, it's a chance for OU, and they got screwed by the schedule. I know, talking to Joe Castiglione last weekend at the Blake Griffin thing, like, he's still kind of angry about the TV schedule. And Lincoln was livid about the UCLA game being
a
early,
lot of
that was
going
to be a big recruiting weekend. But Josh, let's start with you, and Bob, feel free to jump in. Give us an update on recruiting this weekend and what to watch for.
Well, and Bob and I have talked about it, and we've put it on the board. 3 official visitors this weekend, barring something late that I'm not expecting. I don't want anybody to take that the wrong way. You've got Peyton Powell, Oklahoma's recent safety offer from Odessa Permian. A really intriguing guy, played a lot of offense, so we don't really know a lot about him on the defensive side of the ball yet. But a guy I'll have a chance to see in person in a few weeks. Kind of excited about that. Jacoby Jones, the defensive end offer from Butler Community College, will be on campus. He was down for the barbecue. Both of those guys, if you told me they pulled the trigger by the end of the weekend, it wouldn't shock me. I think OU clearly leads for both. I don't know. Both have said, they want to take some trips. They want to take their time. I know Powell has a date in mind as far as his announcement. So there are some things that, may push that back a little bit. But I think Oklahoma's in great shape with both of those guys. And then finally, Woody Washington, the Rivals 100 corner, making his first return since obviously committing during, or I guess just prior to the barbecue. So you've got a good list there, but it's going to be small. I mean, obviously the 11 a.m. kickoff messes with things. Probably be a small group of unofficial visitors because that's just not, at this point in the year, that's not really where the coaches are at. That's not where they're geared. They're going to have some guys there. But again, when you've got Oklahoma and Texas kids really starting their high school seasons tonight and Friday night, it's really tough for that turnaround to work because you've got team meetings on Saturday mornings in the high school for the high school teams. So there's a lot to go through. So like I said, I think it'll be a small list. I expect some to show up on campus, but I would expect mainly guys like, Marcus Major, local commitments, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think the big name to watch in terms of an unofficial is JV and Hester for the 2020 class, just because there was so much panic when he didn't show up for barbecue, and he's a Booker T kid, and is he going to be like Dax Hill, where all of a sudden you think he's OU, but then he spurns the Sooners. Him coming back, I think that'll alleviate a lot of fears that some fans have about him looking elsewhere. And, you got a chance to see him in a scrimmage mode a couple weeks ago. Is he progressing the way that you would hope he would?
Josh, unmute yourself.
I missed the lead-in that I needed to unmute myself, so sorry about that, Bob. No, he had an incredible interception when I saw him against Jinx a couple of weeks ago. Really, he's one of those guys that we've seen it through the years with guys like Jeff Mead, currently A.D. Miller, Dahu Green, those big, long receivers that – you look at the list I've just said, and it doesn't inspire a lot of confidence that it's going to go differently.
That's what I'm saying. That's no confidence.
Just throw Trey McGuire in there while you're at it.
But, he's just one of these big outside guys that really Oklahoma hasn't had a lot of luck with. I mean, they haven't turned out that well. And I think Hester is more talented than any of those guys. So, that's got to be said. But at the same time, this is a long guy that really can stretch the field. I think we've got him number 97 in the Rivals 100. Currently, Rivals is a top-ranked guy in the 2020 class from Oklahoma, and I think he could move up considerably from there. I think both he and Andrew Rame have very real chances of ending in the Rivals 100. So it's a good year in state for 2020. Hester is, like I said, everything you're looking for in an outside receiver. You wish he was a little more filled out. He's a little bigger. He's not the same size like Theo Weiss was at the same point last year. But it's just a matter of him putting on that weight. The frame is there to do all those things.
And then the dead period will end the 31st, so the coaches haven't even been able to have a chance to watch these guys last week or this weekend. Me and Eddie, we're just 6 hours away now from Heritage Hall, Millwood, get a chance to see Marcus Major for the first time this season.
By the way, I just realized I picked the worst. I left out the best possible toast I could have made.
Who's that?
The best possible toast, is it not? Maybe it's just me. It's this right here. Ah, damn it. See, I'm screwing up the audio. Josh is screwing up the audio.
I was going to say Drake Stoops because of Bob
What's
Stoops.
it been like for you kind of watching a young guy like Drake Stoops?
Drake's had a great camp. It was actually really interesting for me to watch him play. I knew nothing about him. I just knew, obviously, he was a Stoops. So, watching him run routes and catch balls, he's a great player. And, he could probably see himself on the field this year at some point.
Just a fiery kid? Real competitive kid? How would you describe him?
He's a quiet kid like I am. He's not one to go out there and talk and, just talk to people. But, yeah, he's a competitive side to him, and you can really see in one-on-ones. I think when you do one-on-ones, it kind of, brings out the dog in you a little bit. And, he tends to get open on one-on-ones and make competitive catches. So when you do that, you'll probably find yourself on the field at some point.
And you know what? His dad may have been serving some Coop Ale Works to people last night.
Exactly. He's the one giving the toast.
My God, that was unbelievable.
So great.
So I felt
every
I actually
have that is great.
I actually have the director's cut on my phone because Gabe texted it to me, and I was doing stupid stuff last night.
He must have just been sending it to everybody. I got the text as well.
Did you really?
Yeah. I was like, I have to send this to somebody. Who can I send it to?
But like it has a little bit.
And then he tweeted it, and I was like, oh well.
It has a little bit more on the end though, on the one that he sent. I don't know if you noticed that or not. But yeah, Bob working at Maddie McMillan's last night behind the bar.
There's more after the facial?
There's a longer facial expression.
I'll tell you what, I will be going by there at some point in the near future.
Yeah, you're pretty close.
I used to be.
He used to be, yeah. He's not as close.
Well, closer than we are.
Are we thinking now with all this podcast money of just starting up our own beer and just our own bar and letting Bob bartend for us? I mean, are we just going to go ahead and go that route? Just live the big life?
I know a place.
Okay.
It's kind of expensive.
Well, I mean, I was a little hurt last week that there wasn't a lot of conversation about my absence. It was, I felt a little just, but,
Were you gone
for those
last
that
week?
wondered where I was looking for helicopters for the Scoop crew. I mean, we were off helicopter shopping, Tiffany and I. So it's really,
there was
big
no
life.
sympathy after you made that jackass comment about my tweet on the Scoop account during the press conference.
Don't act like you wouldn't have done the same to me. I know you.
I'm just, look, when you're doing the stupid live tweeting, I'll admit, I don't always get everything perfect. And everyone with their little pithy comments, I didn't exactly say what Lincoln Riley said, which was the middle linebacker for Florida Atlantic is as good as any linebacker they faced last year with the exception of Roquan Smith. And I put the best linebacker they faced since Roquan Smith.
Now, to be fair, you have to
linebacker they played, so that's a stupid thing.
Well, to be fair, I thought I was giving Lincoln Riley shit, not you shit. I assumed you were saying what
I felt
he
bad
said.
too because I misquoted him.
Yeah. Well, it ended up snowballing and becoming a bigger deal.
I was part of the fake news media. I really
Leave it
was.
up to him.
And I didn't know what I was getting tagged in until I looked at it.
You're part of Zach Smith's problem, Carey. Making up news.
I'm sorry we didn't break down FAU during the podcast. If you're coming to this podcast for me to ask coaches what they think of the other team, it's not going to happen. We're not doing a pregame show from 1986. It's not what we do here.
Talk about Florida Atlantic's offense.
Defense and offense.
What I Florida Atlantic fan, you need to contact me on Twitter. I want to talk about beaches, women,
Florida Atlantic. Is it not landlocked?
and cocaine. What?
Is it landlocked or not?
Boca Raton?
Oh, it's in Boca Raton.
Yeah, I think Boca Raton's right on the beach, right?
That's expensive.
Yeah.
Then.
Yeah. I mean,
that's good living.
Lane Kiffin should never leave.
He will leave as fast as humanly possible.
They play well on Saturday. He might be gone by Saturday night.
I mean,
he could be this year's Tom Herman.
This really has kind of become the only game that the national people can point to as a possible upset.
Yeah, it's kind of been interesting.
I mean, West Virginia, nobody believes in Tennessee at all. Nobody's really picking that game.
I don't think anyone cared about West Virginia enough either, where if it did happen, like,
I mean, Auburn or Washington, that's not going to be an upset because both teams are good. Michigan, Notre Dame, same way. Like, you are wondering, like, who's going to embarrass themselves?
Yeah, there's a team out there that will
Somebody
will go
will
out
do it,
there
yeah.
and completely lay an egg.
And Oklahoma, you better have your shit together because you could be that team.
They've done it before. They've done it in recent memory. I mean, BYU obviously was
Houston.
a little bit different.
It's
Houston
a little
was different.
scary.
Houston.
Have we even talked about the center position? Because I think everybody needs to really kind of grasp themselves. I know I've said Creed all summer. After listening to Bill Bedenbaugh talk on Monday, I'm ready to say that Jonathan Alvarez is going to start on Saturday.
Yeah.
Yep.
I just get the sense that they like the experience.
Yeah, there's experience and mental mistakes. And, I talked to Gabe this morning about it. It was just there's one thing Bill Bedenbaugh does not put up with, and that's mental mistakes.
Yeah.
And I just didn't know how much Creed could really improve in that area when you're never in a game
now
to begin with.
If you want to tell me that Alvarez is going to start Saturday and Creed Humphrey is the starter by the time Bedlam rolls around, I could maybe make that argument. I could maybe see that.
Go a lot sooner than that.
I do have a theory. Maybe
about what they're doing?
Maybe Creed Humphrey is going to start at center and Alvarez is going to start at the other guard because maybe Drew Samia has been nicked up.
That would not be a theory. That would be a conspiracy that you know something and haven't told anyone.
There you go.
No, I'm just because I haven't said anything on the website about it because it's one of those things that I haven't confirmed, but I've kind of heard rumblings, and I don't want to be that guy that throws out something and all of a sudden there's Drew Samia starting on game day.
So if
Jonathan Alvarez at center,
if you're having a cold one Saturday morning before you head over to the Palace of the Prairie, and
the
somebody
F5
tells
IPA.
you, and somebody tells you, I'll give you a prop bet 50-1 that both Jonathan Alvarez and Creed Humphrey start, maybe you should take it.
I would probably take it.
And then buy a subscription to SoonerScoop.com.
I might put a hundy on it.
That wouldn't be bad. That'd be interesting.
It'd be worth it.
So then you have a starting line
I would buy the Pours a couple of
buying the subscription to one of the pay-per-view channels.
Yeah. So you wouldn't have to be a Pour.
You get 100-1 or $100 at 51. You can buy more than one subscription.
Yeah, I could buy 100.
Probably buy at least like 25 lap dances at Sugar's. Well, that'd be interesting.
Why did the strip club never come out that they went to? That's what I wanted to know. That Tom Herman and Zach Smith went to.
I think it says on like the invoice that Ohio State put out. I'm not sure. Must not have been a good one.
I don't think he charged the school for the strip club. I think he paid for that himself. I don't think they turned that in as a travel expense. He's an idiot, but I guess he's smart enough not to do that. Anyway, Josh, any more correspondence with Zach Smith during the podcast?
No, I left him a message. We were going to try to find new ways to take advantage of his children. It hadn't happened yet, though, so we're working on that.
That's kind of weird.
Whoa, Josh. You might
not want to tweet that.
That's worse than my fake news tweet about Lincoln Riley.
Taking advantage of anybody.
By the way, I'm going to say this.
Yes means no, I guess.
A big part of us now having sponsors is that we're opening a second podcast. And that is because of Eskridge Lexus in Oklahoma City. They wanted to be part of the podcast. We said we're full, but we would be willing to do a post-game podcast. Plus, Josh was like, Carey, you're spending too much money on travel. I was like, F you, Josh. I'm going to open a new podcast and help pay for it.
I'm a cheap piece of shit.
You really are.
Mark that.
Carey won't edit that. He's going to be like, yeah, I want the world to know.
No, I'm not. No, he's saying mark it so we can play that as a drop.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah.
I get where you're going.
Radio humor. Some people, I guess, don't understand.
So true.
You aren't here.
He's only good at yell talking, folks.
Of course, we got Bob with the "You Aren't Here."
And people on the board know that we're going to do a post-game podcast. It's the Eskridge Lexus post-game podcast. And I'm going to have that up here by tomorrow so everybody can go subscribe to it on iTunes. And it'll have its own life. So it'll be just like the Unofficial 40 presented by Choctaw Casino. But it'll be the Sooner Scoop podcast presented by Eskridge Lexus. So throughout the season, what our goal is with this, because with travel and night games, depending on when that is, our goal is always going to be to have that up Sunday night, so you'll be able to listen to it Monday morning as you're driving to work, or in the office, whatever. Yeah, if it's an early game on Saturday, it'll help you through your Sunday scaries. But just know that we're always going to have that up by at least Monday morning. And thank you to Eskridge Lexus for making that possible. So yeah,
absolutely.
It's a new era, a dawn of a new age, more podcasts, more frequency. It's been a hell of a month putting this all together, but we're finally here.
More scoop all the time.
More scoop all the time. Swipe up.
I mean, this is basically what we're here for.
Well, no, you guys are here for
more
this.
scoop all the time.
It's yeah. Basically means you'll
we
probably
want
see
to
less
consume
of
your life.
my stories and more podcasts.
We want to consume your life.
In every way, yes.
I want to be the reason you get a divorce.
He wants to be the reason you lose your job and then lose your family. So
just don't put me in the note.
There you go. I think we've done enough damage. Hopefully, not so much that we'll lose a sponsor between now and then. I think we'll actually have another one next week. So, all right. Thanks to Eddie, Bob, Josh, and that's going to do it for this edition of the Unofficial 40 podcast, brought to you by the Choctaw Casino. We'll see you guys next time. And don't forget, post-game show coming up this weekend. We'll get you the links to all that on Twitter and on Soonerscoop.com. See you next time.
Podcasts from Soonerscoop.com.